Hi, I'm Amber, and welcome to the MeatRx Success Story podcast. Today we have a special guest with us, Brittany. Welcome, Brittany.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Let's get to it. Okay, so Brittany, were you having any issues or health problems prior to starting a meat-based diet? What made you want to try a meat-based diet?
For years and years, I've always been kind of chunky and overweight, especially compared to my very small friends. And so in middle school, I kind of started packing on some weight and being a little bit self-conscious, but I've never had just severe health problems or anything like that. It's just been being a little bit chubby, having some reactions as far as my skin goes. I kind of had like some rough skin. I'm not quite sure that you'd call it eczema. I'm not sure. It's just like red, patchy, bumpy skin. And I always had that. I just thought it was genetic because I've got family members that have it as well. Also a dandruff problem for years before I started carnivore or knew anything about it. So growing up, I just kind of ate the standard American diet. My mom thought she was feeding us super healthy. We had like a well-rounded plate. We had to eat our vegetables. She was doing the best she could to make sure that we were healthy. She's very small and petite, and my brother and sister they have super fast metabolisms, but I'm built like my dad. And so I pack on weight a lot easier than the rest of my family does. And so eating carbs, we had mashed potatoes. I'm from the South. So we have fried foods, mashed potatoes. Sweet tea was a really big one for me. We had sweet tea every night with our dinner. And even though she limited us to 2 glasses, it's still a lot of sugar if you've been to the South and had sweet tea. Yeah. So I had sweet tea every day. And even though she tried to limit our sugar, we weren't allowed to have like candy or sodas or anything like that unless it was the weekend or a special occasion. She was doing her best. But with a well-rounded plate of food, I still just ate. And it was one of those houses where we had to finish our food. My dad was like, we are not wasting food in this house. You will finish what's on your plate or you will not get up from the table till you're done, right? So that's how I grew up, and I learned to really like having a full belly. I like to feel full when I ate, and I would pretty much stuff myself. And it went from having to finish what was on my plate to, oh, let me get another plate. And then I've got to finish what's on that plate too, because I can't waste that either. So that's kind of what started me packing on weight. And then I tried a few different things because I was self-conscious. I tried portioning my food. I tried not eating. I was on the edge of probably going into an eating disorder. I wasn't quite there yet, but I tried to purge before and I was not successful with that. I just can't do it, but I'm thankful for that. I just tried what made sense in my brain to lose weight, and it just didn't work for me. I tried working out every morning before school, and I lost a little bit and I felt stronger and a little bit better, but it didn't work. So by the time I got married, I weighed around 200 pounds, and I got on birth control around that time as well because I got married young. I got married at 19. I'm 26 now, but yeah, getting married young, I just wasn't quite ready to have kids yet. So I got on birth control and it completely messed with my hormones. I got depressed. I started gaining weight. I gained about 30 pounds in, I want to say, 3 months of getting on birth control. And that's also being newly married. We started adding sodas into our fridge and eating those quick meals because he was working a lot. And at the time I worked with him in the mornings, and during the day he also worked. So I decided to get a job because I was bored being at home by myself. So we were just working a lot, and we did the easy thing, the macaroni and cheese and the very quick microwave things. And I packed on 30 pounds very, very fast. So at my heaviest, I want to say I was around 220, but I stopped weighing myself. I was just way too self-conscious about it, and I felt horrible. I wanted to lay in bed all day and never get up. So then I was watching YouTube videos and trying to figure out what might work for me to lose weight. And I came across this girl. She's a vegan. And so I did the vegan thing. I watched Forks Over Knives on Netflix. I know I'm cringing too because now I know so much better. but I watched Forks Over Knives on Netflix, and I was like, this is what I'll do. So I did that for 3 months, and I lost 15 pounds, which, this is pretty good. I felt like crap though. I did not have energy. I wanted food that I could not have. I never felt fulfilled with what I was eating, and my meal times were a chore just because I didn't want to eat what was on my plate. I'm not a vegetable person. I never have been, but I was basically having to force feed myself this food, thinking this is what I have to eat to be healthy and lose weight. So after that, I decided to quit. I just didn't feel good on it. I went back to eating standard American diet, probably slowly packing on my weight again, until I came across a video of the girl that I watched on YouTube. She was vegan, and she decided to eat meat for only meat for a month. She went carnivore for a month, which is huge for a vegan to do. It's a big deal because she had been vegan for a long time. So I said, okay, well, what's this? Because she ended up having really good results as far as her hormones and things go. I was struggling with my own. Birth control had knocked me out of shape, and that I just didn't want to do anything. Super low, like I would say my libido was 0. Like I didn't even want to think about it, So I ended up trying it. After watching her results, I said, okay, I'm going to do this. So in December of 2019, I said, January 1st, because you got to start in the new year, right? January 1st, I'm going to start carnivore of 2020. And I'm going to challenge myself to a month of it. I did not plan to do it long term or anything like that. I just thought detox kind of thing. So I did it. And my husband was kind of used to me trying things. I had tried the potato diet, if you've heard of that, which is not helpful. But I was trying my hardest to figure out what would work. So my husband was kind of used to me trying weird things, and he was supportive, and he was like, okay, well, you do that. I'm just going to keep eating this way. By this time, we've had 2 kids. My daughter is about to turn 5 tomorrow, actually, and then my son's about to turn 4. So I had 2 kids, and I had them back to back, which also messed with my hormones. And so I started, and the first 3 days was pretty difficult for me, but he was very supportive of it. And he was like, let's do this, and we'll get the meat, and you do your thing. And then in a month we'll celebrate and, eat whatever we were eating before. We'll celebrate your, thing that you finished. So that was kind of how life was like before. I would say my main problems were, I had a lot of constipation all the time. That was like a normal thing for me. I didn't know what it was like to have healthy bowel movements and stuff like that. So the dandruff, my skin would react to a lot of the deodorants I was using. I thought I was allergic to my deodorant. I had breakouts to certain soaps and lotions and stuff like that. I thought I was allergic to those things. The bumpy skin. I didn't sleep really well. I slept okay, but I never felt rested. I wanted to sleep all day. So those were my main things, on top of being chunky and not liking my weight.
Brittany, I can relate to so much of what you just said, so I totally get where you're coming from. Okay, so when you first started a meat-based diet, how did you implement it? Like, what did you eat? What did you include? What did you not include? And did you have any transitional issues?
Okay, so when I first started, I had been watching a lot of Ken Berry and Kelly Hogan, Paul Saladino, ShawnBaker. I was trying to soak up as much information as I could on how I should do this, because I didn't know anyone else eating this way at all. I was definitely the crazy person who was trying a crazy diet. And so I just decided I was going to eat the meats that I liked best, which at the time I really liked. I had a lot of chicken, a lot of ground beef, burgers, and eventually steaks. At first I was trying to keep things really low budget as well as I could. And my husband would have to grill the steaks. So we only had steaks whenever the whole family was going to eat steaks. But I had a lot of chicken. I didn't do a lot of fish. I did some in the beginning, but I just realized it I didn't get very much energy out of fish, I'll say that. So the things that I gravitated toward was beef and chicken, pretty much. So I just went to the store and loaded up on that. I definitely had dairy and even drank milk. I know a lot don't drink milk because of the sugar, but I wasn't concerned about cutting out all sugars. I was just sticking to animal products in general. So I did. I had a lot of cheese, had some cream cheese. I used a lot of butter, and I still do. Cheese does not bother me whatsoever. And if it has slowed my progress, I do wonder where I would be without it, but I don't want to live without cheese. So I feel bad for people who have to cut out dairy because I love dairy so much. So that's what I did. And I started out eating 3 meals a day because that's what I was used to. And I had a lot of eggs in the morning. People think I'm insane when I said I would eat 11 eggs and a whole package of bacon for breakfast almost every morning. It's a lot of food, and people are like, oh, where are you putting that? I'm like, I like to feel full. And that's one reason I tried carnivore, because I was told you eat till you're full and don't eat when you're not hungry. Eat when you're hungry, don't when you're not. So I knew it was going to be super simple. So that's what I did. I would eat that for breakfast. And then for lunch, I would probably have like a pound of chicken, get them in the strips, and then fry them. Not really fry them, but in a frying pan on the stove. I've used a lot of butter. And then I would have like a pound or so of ground beef with sour cream and cheese in it for dinner. So that was usually my typical day of eating. I ate a lot of food, but yet the pounds just dropped off really fast. I mean, I lost, I know, 5 pounds in the first week, I think, just water weight, I'm sure, and bloat. And then by the end of the first month, I had lost 15 pounds. So I lost it really fast. It was just melting off, even though I was eating a ton of food and I felt super satisfied. But in the beginning, I did have constipation, which I was kind of used to. So I didn't really think anything of it until I got to day 17 of being constipated and not having gone at all. And I posted on a group that I was in, Health Coach Kate's Facebook group. I posted and asked, okay, is this normal? Because I don't feel like it's normal. I've always had some constipation, but I've never gone this long. And of course I had people comment and be like, how are you alive right now? But I had a guy message me and he's like, hey, I saw your post in the group. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about this on like Facebook for everyone to see, but he told me about magnesium. And so I started taking that and it cleared me up. So that was the biggest issue that I really had in transition. For about 3 days, I had some sugar cravings. I was used to having sweet tea and carbs all the time. So I had some sugar cravings, but they weren't as bad as I thought that they would be, because I knew that I had a problem with carbs for sure, even over sugar. I just really liked carbs. I love potatoes and like starchy things and breads and rolls and all that stuff, fried food. So that was my biggest thing, was the constipation. But the cravings weren't so bad. After 3 days, I didn't have any cravings whatsoever, which I feel was kind of fast. I don't know if a lot of people get over it within 3 days, but for me, that's what it was. And then after that 3 days, all I wanted was meat. I was completely satisfied by it. I loved it. I will say after the first, I think about 2 or 3 weeks, I couldn't do 3 meals a day anymore. It was just too much food. I was eating way too much food. And so even though I was dropping weight, I just felt full, and I decided I'm going to cut it back to 2 meals a day. And this is before I knew much about intermittent fasting. I just automatically did it. So I wasn't intentionally doing it, but it just happened naturally. My husband works at night, so we don't eat breakfast until around 10 in the morning because he sleeps. So I would eat breakfast around 10 a.m. and then I would have my lunch before 4 normally, and then I was done for the day. So I was intermittent fasting, but it happened naturally, and it wasn't something I had to think about or that I intentionally tried to do. My dandruff was gone within a week, so that was really nice. I didn't expect it to go away that fast. Let's see. And then I ended up in the summer. So I'd been carnivore for 7 months. And then I found out that I was pregnant. And with baby number 3, which we were actually trying for, but we're trying to get them, you know, while we're young. But I found out I was pregnant with number 3, and I ended up having very severe food aversions to red meat, which was very unfortunate. It was horrible. I was like, I feel so good on this, I don't want to stop. And so I posted and asked about how do I stay carnivore whenever I can't really eat red meat. You had people suggesting lean meats, so I tried. I did not feel good on just lean meats. I really feel great when I'm having a lot of beef, but I did not feel good on just chicken and fish. And so I fell off of it, not completely. I still ate better than I did before. I had some spinach salads and stuff like that. I didn't add in fried foods again, for sure. And I did not really go heavily back into sweet tea, although I would have some now and then when we decided to go out to eat or something. But I did not go back to where I was before, which is good. But I started feeling tired, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with pregnancy, but I think a lot of it also had to do with how I was eating. And I just kind of lethargic, like I don't really want to do anything. My dandruff came back, my bumps on my skin came back. They had just started smoothing out. My arms felt smoother than they had ever felt before. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm soft. But it started all coming back, which was very sad. And I just thought, you know, once the pregnancy is over, it's okay. I know how to feel better again. I know how to lose the weight. I tried not to think too much of it. And I didn't gain too much during pregnancy, about 25 pounds. I had the smallest baby that I've ever had, which was, she was 8 pounds, 8 ounces. That's my smallest baby. My first one was, well, let's see. My first one was 8 pounds. I always forget. She was a little over that, 8 pounds. My husband would be fussing at me right now. He's actually the one that remembers that kind of stuff, and not me, the mother that should remember it. My daughter was 8 pounds, 13 ounces, I want to say. And then my son was 11 pounds, 7 ounces. He was massive. And as far as I know, I didn't have sugar problems, but I think maybe it was just under the radar of the hospital, you know, like very close to having sugar problems with him. And then this one was my smallest one. So, and I had them all naturally. I've always been semi-naturally, as naturally minded as I could be. So with the information I had, but I found out I was pregnant with her, had the meat aversions, went through that. And then during the 3rd trimester, I was finally able to eat red meat again. So I went back. I wouldn't say completely carnivore, because I still did have, for some reason, the spinach salads were like a pregnancy craving of mine, which I guess it's better that it was that than like sweets or something like that. But yes, and so I ended up having her. The day after I had her, I was 10 pounds over my pre-pregnancy weight. The next 3 weeks, I lost all of that weight, and I was back to pre-pregnancy weight. I went full carnivore after having her. So my dandruff was gone again, and my skin is smoothing back out. Thankfully, she's 2 months old now. Yeah, she's inside. Yeah, she's little, and she's starting to get to where she smiles and makes noises and stuff like that. But yes, it was so nice to just, because with my others, I held probably around 20 pounds after having them, and it took a while to lose that weight. And then with her, it's like 3 weeks back to pre-pregnancy weight. I lost 47 pounds on carnivore. So when I started, I was 200, and I made it to 153, went down from extra large clothing size to a medium, felt so much better. My head was lighter. I could just think so much clearer. I had a ton more energy to be able to keep up with my kids, and my skin smoothing out, the dandruff going away. A big thing for me was my libido went sky high. Pretty sure I was freaking my husband out for a little while. He was like, hey, what is this? I'm not used to this. Calm down. But, you know, it's something he noticed. And then, yeah, after a while, he actually decided to give it a shot too. So now our whole family is kind of carnivore, which is awesome.
That is a very awesome. Yay. And I love hearing all that good stuff. Okay, so you've kind of gone over some of the improvements that you had, but go over in brief detail, just list all the improvements that you noticed. And was there anything that really surprised you that improved?
Let's see. So the main things would be definitely the dandruff, because that's something I struggled with for a long time. I know I also mentioned that I was breaking out to lotions and certain things that I was using, deodorants. I'm not actually allergic to those things. Now that I'm eating this way, I can use the very same brands that used to make me break out. So I haven't quite figured out how that works, but I'm excited about it. I don't break out to a lot of the lotions anymore. I'm not allergic to my deodorant anymore. My skin clearing up was a really big thing. Honestly, I just thought it was genetic. So I guess that's probably the thing that surprised me the most, because I just always had bumpy skin and patchy and kind of a red look to my skin, which I still kind of have. You probably can't see it in video, but it's going away. It was much worse. So all of that completely cleared up before, and I gained it back a little bit during pregnancy. So now it's going away again. But those things, and then libido for sure was the big thing, because if you're struggling with hormone imbalances and low libido, it sucks, you man. It can give you some issues. So that was a really big thing that I was like, oh, I actually am a normal person. Like, I can feel normal. Before I was like, what is wrong with me? Why can't, but now we're all good, I promise.
That's amazing. I am super happy to hear that. And your grandpa's going to be embarrassed again about this interview too.
Yes. And that's okay.
Sorry,
Papa.
I love it. That's the best. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for sharing your story. I appreciate you coming on. It means a lot to other people who happen to come across, because you might be the one that actually changes somebody, just like that one vegan lady did for you. So yes. Thank you.
That would be so awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I've wanted to share with a mass amount of people, so this is a great way to do it. One day I might start my own YouTube channel. For now, I just have an Instagram page that I'm sharing on, but that's it. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And good luck with that, and keep telling your story. It matters. Thanks, Brittany.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.